Hello everyone, I'm Harrison.
And I'm Rachel.
This week we're talking about traveling with a newborn, so stay tuned and join us on our journey to raise baby H.
Our first overnight trip with Edison was when he was about 6 weeks old.
We wanted to make sure that the first time we stayed somewhere other than our house that there wasn't an audience. Edison doesn't sleep through the night, and there's just a lot of other factors that we had to think through before staying at someone else's house.
We wanted to make it low stakes. The goal was to have a good time and make it through the trip. We weren't stressing about remembering every little thing that he needed because we could always run to a store if we needed to.
Thankfully, we didn't forget anything and it ended up being a really good time. And since then, we've taken several more trips away from home. So here's some of the things that we learned about traveling with a newborn.
One of the things that Harrison and I worried about when we were thinking about traveling with a newborn is how do we fit everything in our car? There's just extra things that you have to bring with you when you have a baby with you.
A lot of families, after they have a kid, will think that they need to get a minivan or just something bigger so that they can have more space when it comes to traveling. And Rachel and I really don't want to go that route. So we have a Subaru Outback, which has a fair amount of space in the back. It's not quite as much as you would have if you had a van, but we were able to fit everything in there without a problem. Now, we did try to condense things as much as we possibly could, but we were still able to travel on week-long trips for him with that car.
Our Subaru has one of the biggest trunks that I've ever seen, so we kind of like to keep in the back of our mind that we might not have this car forever, and we do need to learn how to travel without taking up that much space.
For trips that are less than 2 nights, we can fit everything in our one suitcase, and then we also take the diaper bag and the pump bag.
If it's longer than 2 nights, then we usually have to add one extra bag where we put everything that's Edison's in that bag.
When it comes to traveling with a newborn, one of the most stressful things can be figuring out what do you pack. When you're at home, there's a lot of stuff that you have to take care of him, and we're trying to figure out what stuff do we actually have to have. What are things that are just nice? How many bottles do you take? How many outfits? And there are just a lot of questions when it comes to packing.
There are a lot of products specific to travel that you can buy if you're looking to really save space, but it is a cost that you're going to have to consider if you're wanting to buy these things because they do really market towards that traveling always on the go type of family.
We knew that we'd spend quite a bit of traveling before we had Edison, so a lot of the items that we put on our registry, we looked into a travel option and what people would consider your at-home option. And there are some things that we saw that we just decided that we were going to be okay with the idea of using the travel option even when we were at home. So for example, our pack and play has a bassinet feature, which is something we wanted when we travel, but we decided that that was just going to be our bassinet when we were at home, even though that's not really what it was designed for.
So for Edison, as far as clothes, I usually pack one outfit per day plus one spare outfit for every 2 days. And I do the same thing for pajamas. If you were wanting to save space, you could think about, does your space where you're staying have access to laundry, washer and dryer? Is that something that you're wanting to do while you're on your trip?
It is also worthwhile to consider that you may be close to a store. So if you want to save space when it comes to packing extra outfits and things like that by cutting back, that's totally fine. You just need to know that if you don't have access to laundry while you're traveling and you need another outfit, is going to the store and purchasing one while you're out something that you have available.
For diapers, he usually goes through 8 diapers per day, sometimes less. And so we usually plan for about that number, and then I always inflate it just a little bit. And usually 2 packs of wipes has been enough for the longest trip that we've taken.
We know that outfits are something we're okay being on the shorter side because it's easy to go pick up in the moment, but diapers is something we do not want to be short on. So we normally end up with quite a few extra diapers and we're okay with that. We found that for us, the easiest way to travel with diapers is we have this diaper caddy that we load up with all of the diapers and the wipes for pretty much the entire trip. And that just lives in the back of the car pretty much wherever we go all the time.
There's also enough space in there that we can put diaper cream. We have a travel-sized shampoo and lotion for Edison and a changing mat. It all fits in this caddy and kind of becomes Edison's toiletry bag.
One of the things that we travel with so that we can take less bottles and pump parts while we are away is a travel sink. When it comes to doing dishes for Edison, it is really not recommended that you clean them directly in a sink. They want you to put it in another container that you know is sanitized and is going to be clean, and you basically know what's on there. Especially when you're traveling and you're staying in a hotel, you really have no clue what was in that sink before. So we bring a travel sink. It's actually like a collapsible Tupperware that we just expand and can fill with hot water.
And you may think that bringing less bottles will save you space, and that is true if you really do need to cut back on something. But what we found is that bringing enough bottles to make it through one whole day is ideal for us, because then you only need to do the dishes once at the end of the day.
Bottles are pretty small and they are like weird shapes, and I could see why you'd have a hard time packing them. But what we have found is there's usually a little bit of extra space in every bag that we pack. So if there's like a weird little nook and cranny in our suitcase, it's really easy to go, yeah, I'm going to throw one more bottle in that spot so that I can do the dishes less and just not have to worry about it while you're traveling.
Like Harrison mentioned, we do have our pack and play, which we have on standby whenever we need it. But we also look into hotel policies because most of them will provide a crib, usually a pack and play. But make sure that you double check the wording on their website. If it says free infant cribs, then you know that they have free pack and plays that they can give to you if you ask for it. If it says infant cribs provided or something like that, then they may have a small charge. So you'll want to decide, are you willing to pay that extra little fee to not have to bring your own pack and play, or do you want to just bring your own?
The pack and play is really annoying to travel with. I think that it's the most cumbersome thing to travel with because it's just annoying. It's just this block that doesn't do anything. And if you can get it somewhere else, that's a great option. Now, I will say that you should probably call ahead and see if there's any way that you can reserve the pack and play because hotels don't have an unlimited supply of them. So we found one place that we went that they only had one for the entire hotel. So another option for a place to stay with your baby is that if you're okay with the idea of them sleeping on a couch that you kind of like block them in, or if they have a pull-out bed that you can set them on, things like that, you might be able to avoid needing a pack and play altogether.
Another way that you can save space when you're packing is to get a compact stroller. We really like our stroller, but there will probably come a day when it takes up too much space in the back of our car and we'll have to find a different option.
With the Subaru that we have, it's very easy for us to keep the stroller in the back of the car all the time. So we pretty much always have the stroller in the back of the car. But when we're traveling somewhere else, we have to like prop it up on its side and just figure out a different configuration to basically have the stroller and still be able to pack everything else. And it's not a big deal because once we get to a location, we unload and then the stroller lives in the back of the car. But we have found that if you know you're going to spend a lot of time like on a bus or a tram or whatever, and you know you're going to need to break this thing down a lot, it's not the most compact option. So it's working for us right now, but they make some really, really small strollers when they compact, and that's probably a route we will go sometime in the future.
And as we've mentioned before, Harrison and I usually plan to buy something when we arrive. So if you're staying somewhere that has a kitchen, maybe you want to do a grocery run when you get there and pick up formula or diapers if you want to save space in the car. Chances are you'll use those things and anything extra that you need to bring home.
Baby sections are pretty common in most stores, and thankfully the range of products that you really need for your baby that are an absolute must-have is pretty small, so most stores will have what you're looking for. So we are just of the idea that we know we're probably going to forget something. And that one thing that we forget, We're going to try to not use it as long as we can because we don't want to have to go buy it, but we are okay with the idea that if something absolutely major was forgotten, we're just going to go to the store and pick it up. And for the most part, it's not going to be that difficult to find a store to do that.
One thing that we have not found a good solution for yet is baths on the go. So Edison has a little baby tub, but it doesn't collapse at all, and it's kind of bulky in the car. So far, we've just taken that baby bathtub with us, or we just don't take it at all if it's a short enough trip. But there is another way that if you want to save space, look into a more compact, collapsible bathtub that you can take with you.
Our solution, other than dragging around this very clunky bathtub, is just that Rachel will just get in the tub and hold Edison while we're bathing him so that it's not like he's just in this huge tub or that he has to sit in this thing that takes up a ton of space. So bathing is something that we're still looking for a better solution for, but they do make travel tubs that might make it easier. We just haven't gone ahead and bought one.
Something that you can also do to make your trip easier is just think ahead. Think through your entire trip, the plans that you have, the places you're going to go, and gather as much information as you can. This is something that I've been in the habit of before we even had kids. I just look at maps. I like to know what to expect when I go in somewhere. I like to know where the restrooms are, where the food is. And with a baby, it's important that I knew where the nursing rooms are, where are the family restrooms where we can change him, and things like that.
Another thing that you should think about when looking ahead and when you're out and about is just what accessible routes do you have? How can you get from one place to the other with a baby? So a lot of times we will know where we're going enough to go, this is a location that we're better off holding Edison in the carrier all day and committing to that. There are other times where we know that a stroller is going to be fine. We're going to stroller-friendly places, and we can do that.
I also have to just throw in there that we're very fortunate that we can do that. And it's really sad when you go somewhere. There's been several situations where we've had our stroller and it's just not ideal to get Edison around there. And we have the option to get him out of that stroller. But it really should be a standard to have better accessible routes for people who are in wheelchairs or cannot get out of their stroller or cart or walker for whatever reason. So it just has brought way more of an awareness to me when we're out and about that things need to be better all around. And another thing that you want to think about when planning your day is feeding and nap schedules. So as we mentioned in our last episode, we had a pretty good idea of when Edison needed to eat, when he would be wanting a nap, and things like that. And we didn't put ourselves in a situation where he would be at his crankiest when we didn't have control over it or somewhere where we could escape.
A lot of the things with travel have to do with knowing your baby. You know when they eat, when they sleep, when you're going to need to change their diaper, and you also know how many outfits do you usually go through, how many times do you need to change a diaper, and you basically just have to take the time when it comes to traveling to think through of all of that ahead of time. And a lot of times I could see why you'd think it's frustrating to think through it before. You just want to be able to go and not worry about it, but you end up with a huge headache while you're out and about, and we would rather take the time before we actually get there to plan through all of it so that while we're there, we don't have to think about these small decisions or just be stressed about when is the next time we feed him and where is the closest bathroom.
When you're traveling with a baby, it's something that you're going to get better at the more that you do it. We're constantly learning better ways that we can save space or keep Edison calm or get through a packed day of activities. It's something that gets better with time and that we're really enjoying learning as we go.
Next time, we're going to talk about holidays with a baby. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.